Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of System Link, our combination podcast and live gameplay stream featuring, as always, my jolly co-host, Mike Hazelton from the Xbox Guide. Good evening, Mike. Thank you once again for joining us. How are you doing on this supposedly June summer evening here in the UK? How are you getting on?
Yeah, pretty good. It's a nice day here in North Wales, so yeah, can't complain.
Well, it must be nice. It must be nice.
It is.
Just realised I did my Patrick Stewart reveal again. Look, just a little...
Yeah.
Make it so. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for jumping on. We've got quite a bit to get into tonight. As always, we try and pack our platters with a nice varied discussion. And it's, I think, the big one, obviously, we're just coming off the back of the PlayStation State of Play. And coming up next, we've got the Xbox Showcase this weekend. We'll be doing our bets and dreams for that this evening, going over what we think we're going to see versus what we'd like to see. But just really briefly, before we get into that, I wanted to just very briefly unpack that State of Play. I think, for the most part, it's been, as is often the case, actually, with some of the State of Play stuff, quite a mixed response. I know that a lot of people were quite lukewarm on Concord. They weren't sort of particularly enthused by it. It looks kind of quite generic. I'm certainly in the latter camp. I very much actually really I thought that really connected with me. It was a type of game I'm really looking for, and it hasn't really been seen on PlayStation. What was your take on Concord? I know that again, generally speaking, the perception is it was quite sort of, maybe lacking a unique identity. Kind of, what was your take on it?
Yeah, it's sort of the rare situation where I liked the CG element of what they showed more than the gameplay. The gameplay just looked too generic for me. I don't like hero shooters generally, so I was hoping that Concord was not going to be a hero shooter,
Yeah.
but the gameplay looked solid enough. It's just on the generic side for me. But if it lands and I think if it plays well enough and connects, especially with a PC audience, then it's got a chance.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, given what we've now seen today, there was that piece I saw on, I think it was Push Square. You sent me the article, wasn't it? Which was that the pre-order page went live in Australia, and when they did the dollar conversion, worked out at about $40, which was the same price as Helldivers in the States, which was $34.99 for us. I think that's a great price point. That's a very, very smart choice by them, given that it is multiplayer only, and maybe that's the way they really capture that interest in that market. Given that it's a new IP and it's not free to play, that might be a way for them to potentially get that engagement and get people excited about it. I certainly was very happy with that price point. I think if it had been sort of 50 or 60, they might have struggled, I think, to have hooked me in early. It's the Skull and Bones problem, isn't it? The sort of 70 quid release for that game, given the state that it's in, just you can't reconcile that. It's really tricky.
Yeah, it's no coincidence that it's the same price as Helldivers, I think. And I guess hasn't got a campaign or anything, presumably. So it seems about right if they weren't going down the free to play route. You wonder to what extent they wait to see the reception of the gameplay before they set the price.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't know if they could have turned it around that quick, but
and it's not like it's like an official announcement. This is people sort of noticing a leak and then kind of drawing a conclusion from there. It's definitely, I think, if it turns out to be true, it's definitely reflective of Helldivers 2 being so successful at that price point. That it hasn't really dropped either. Like, that game has stayed at $34.99, sold 12 million copies across PC and PlayStation, and is clearly connected. So I think that's actually a really quite smart play by them, especially if they've got this new live service focus, which we've seen so much from them in both their public conversations around their output, but also the fact that we weren't actually necessarily expecting anything from first party from them this year. It was all going to be originally just going to be second party partnerships like Helldivers and third party releases. So to have Astrobot and Concord both landing this year, I think for PlayStation owners is going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, and the benefit of having it charged as opposed to free to play is they can put it in PlayStation Plus in 6 months or something, and that'll be a nice thing for PlayStation Plus. They don't need to do that with Helldivers, but depending on how Concord's going, they might feel that they need to do that.
Yeah, and actually another great way not only to keep that community engaged, but to also encourage that sort of almost second wind of player influx, having that sudden boost of the player count when they'd have had 6 months of like those weekly story updates they've mentioned. Exactly. That it is a great opportunity for them to really leverage that. There wasn't a huge amount else really in the state of play that caught my eye. I'm actually I know I'm in the minority on this, but I'm probably a little bit more excited for Concord than actually I was for Astrobot. I think Astrobot, as much as it looks very creative and actually very Nintendo-like in many ways, it kind of evoked Super Mario. Oh my god, I just completely forgot what's the most recent Mario game? That's insane. The 3D one with the city. Why? Why? What happened? It's not Galaxy, that's on the Wii.
All I can think of is Galaxy. I don't know why.
Odyssey.
I haven't played it.
Super Mario Odyssey. Jesus, Henry Christ. It kind of evoked that look, I think, with this sort of very unique bosses. And that being said, I don't know what it was. I don't know whether maybe it was the art style or the fact that you kind of saw sort of it didn't really have its own distinct identity necessarily, in a different way, I think, to Concord, which is that it was using so many existing PlayStation characters as kind of Easter eggs and references. I just don't know why, but that just didn't click with me particularly. I don't know why.
It looked really polished and really high quality. So obviously similar to the first one. As someone who hasn't played the first one, it appealed to me quite a lot, and because we don't have that sort of game on Xbox, so it kind of stood out. I'd love to have that on Xbox, something like that, and I think it'll do really well. Again, it'll be interesting to see if that's a premium price point or not. I don't know what the original was.
Also, the original was a pack-in game. There hasn't been a proper Astro Bot release.
Oh, of course it was. Yeah.
So it was just like a console, essentially a tech demo, really, for PS5 when it first came out for the DualSense. So the fact that it's been spun off into its own thing is actually they could probably do whatever they wanted price-wise with that. They could have some fun with that. Was anything else for you from the state of play that kind of that jumped out at all, or? Because it certainly wasn't for me. No. It just didn't really. I'm not too bothered about Silent Hill. I don't really have an affinity for that. That's
getting bad. Bad previews anyway. I think Jeff Keighley did his poll, and it was overwhelmingly like D. I think that people were scoring it, so it wasn't a great one. But I think they wouldn't have done it probably if they could have got away with that without doing one. But there was a lot of pressure for them to show something before. I think it's rumored that they'll do a proper showcase in September. And I think as something to just tide people over, it was okay.
Yeah.
But obviously, compared to what we're expecting from Xbox and the rest of the stuff you normally see in June from the big guys, it wasn't great. But
yeah,
everyone has those years, those bad release years.
Yeah, well, they've been able to kind of ride the success of Helpdivers. Rise of the Ronin, I think, was, even though it wasn't critically well received, I think people have generally quite liked it. Big Manny just jumping in the chat saying there about how it was actually a really high quality tech demo, even though it was just a packaged in game. I remember trying it actually and thinking how impressive it was. I found that, and it's sort of self-referential PS5 stuff, I found that more interesting than I think I do with it being a full game concept. I'd almost rather Astrobot have his own world.
It's a really nice idea though to have a game or a demo or something like that that's so well suited to the new hardware that you're bringing out, like the controller and
for sure
stuff. And obviously with Nintendo you have Wii Sports and things, just like proof of concept of this new hardware. And we don't get that from Xbox, partly because there hasn't been any meaningfully new hardware for so long. It's all just like iterative. But I like that. I like the way they've done it.
Yeah, for sure. The Big Daddy Smitherham in the chat there. If it's, I'm hoping that's the person I'm thinking it is. If it is, that is the jolliest thing ever. Ghost of Tsushima 2 needs something. Yeah, I agree. I think that was probably one of the strongest single-player PS4 games I played in that last gen, and I think it is crying out for a sequel. You have to think that Sucker Punch are working on that.
That would be huge, yeah.
Yeah, and actually, if there's a film adaptation being put in from the game starring Hiroyuki Sanada, who is the lead actor from Shogun, the recent limited series on Disney Plus, and everyone literally, when they said that they were looking, he'd been sort of offered the role, everyone went, well, yes, obviously. It made total sense because of how identifiable that series has become, and I do think it's one of their stronger IPs they've ever made. So hopefully, yeah, I think you're right. I think it would be really nice for them to, maybe in that, like you said, that rumoured September showcase, maybe we get a little tease of that. We still don't know what Sucker Punch are working on. So, and they've been quiet. They've been cooking for a minute. So, but given the nice little cooking reference I made, let's segue now into the... I tried. There's a tenuous tangent. Let's segue now into the Xbox Showcase, which is coming up this weekend. We have got our bets, things that we are confident that we're going to see there, and then our dreams, things we would love to see out the showcase, but they may not be something that is realistic necessarily or likely to happen. Our bets is just us kind of now publicly live on a saved Twitch stream, being able to sort of say, well, this is what we thought, this was our calls. And I've kind of, with my ones, I've kind of avoided any of the existing rumors, like we tried to do anyway. You know, you and I just can't stand leaks and anything like that. It just becomes really deflating when you're trying to preserve the excitement and the pageantry of a show. Especially if you're invested in the brand, you want to be able to enjoy those reveals in the moment, rather than just having someone on Twitter say, oh, I've heard that this has happened. So most of my bets are kind of things where I think are safe bets, but they're not necessarily relating to any of the existing rumors or anything that's leaked potentially from the show. As much as I do try and avoid that stuff, I haven't actually, even though before I kind of went a bit darker on it in terms of muting hashtags and blocking people, hadn't really seen any major leaks for this showcase yet.
I think that the things that leaked, and there's a couple, and I think I will mention them in mine just because it's good to
good contrast.
They were so long ago that I think everyone will be aware.
Yeah.
If there's stuff that's come out in the last couple of days and I haven't seen it, but yeah, it's been. Let's hope it's locked down. It sounds like YouTube has been the main place leaking stuff. For the PlayStation showcase, it sounds like that's where it came from.
Yeah.
State of play. So hopefully Xbox will have learnt from that and don't queue anything up on YouTube. It's not worth the risk, is it? People can wait a few hours for the videos to go live
for the upload, for sure. Especially if you know you're going to tune in and watch it live anyway. And plus, there's also that hour-long Black Ops 6 direct that's going to follow. So that's more than enough time to upload your say 4K trailers or whatever. So I will kick things off. Mine's actually a something we're not going to see.
Can I just quickly for the audience? We've been doing this for like these bets and dreams for, I don't know. We were doing them when we were teenagers, I think. So it's like
nearly 20 years.
It's a long time. Yeah, nearly 20 years. And I also don't think we ever refer back to them. It's something as we're watching the show, we'll be like, "Oh yeah, you called that," which is actually quite rare that one of us gets anything right from these, even the bets.
Yeah.
But we never afterwards go back and say, "Oh, I got this, and this right." But so it'll be nice to have it recorded for posterity to see if we get get anything. Though I've gone quite safe with mine, but we'll see. Interesting.
Yeah. So but like you say, it's an opportunity now that we haven't had before. Well, often we might do we did our ratings, don't we? The sort of post-show ratings of the different conferences back at E3. We sort of go through Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony, EA, Ubisoft, and Bethesda. Back in the day when they had their own little shows. We give our out of fives, but no, never any tallying up whose bets, whose dreams came true, who got him right, who got it wrong. So, so mine is more of I think we don't see it, and I wanted to make it spicy. I wanted to state 3 games that we again will not see at this showcase.
Nice.
Perfect Dark, State of Decay 3, Everwild. I don't think we see any of those 3.
Nice. So those are coming under your bets. Is that your bet?
That's my bet.
Okay.
Because my a theoretical dream would be that you do finally get to see the gameplay of these things that have been announced so long ago. I still don't think they're ready. I think that Crystal Dynamics stepping in, being a support studio to the initiative, I think was recent enough of a change that I don't think that would have borne any fruit yet.
When you say we don't see it, do you mean we could get a CG trailer for it?
Clarification. Got to clarify the bet. Sanctity of the bet.
We could get a release date, release year, and a CG trailer.
So when I say we don't see it, it does not appear at any point in any form in the show.
Okay, nice. I was hoping you'd go all in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, I'm
right.
Chips in.
So yeah. So mine. I was hedging my bets with this. Hedging my bets. That's good. Well, the 2 of Perfect Dark, Fable, State of Decay, and Everwild. We would see 2 of those.
Interesting.
So that means that will disprove your bet if that comes.
And you've got wiggle room with your bet as well. You got 2 out of 4 there. That's nice.
So because I'm not massively confident about Perfect Dark or Everwild. I think State of Decay has been going for a long time. I'll be disappointed if we don't see some gameplay from State of Decay by now. I think I saw that they've moved to Unreal 5, which is maybe why that's because Hellblade they did that with Hellblade, which is why Hellblade took so long. So it's possible that a couple of these studios, if there was a director from above or some strong advice, just delay your game by a year, 18 months, and move it to Unreal Engine 5 because it's going to be a game changer, which it seems like it is. That's fine, but it's still, I think, been long enough with State of Decay that we should see it, and I think it will look good and different from the first two in terms of how good it looks. Fable, I think we saw enough last time that they will be able to show something. I'm hoping more of a traditional gameplay segment as opposed to like what it was what last time. It was. I don't like the. I don't know how to explain it. Where you're not viewing it from the HUD. Yeah. It's not realistic of gameplay. It's in engine, but yeah, it's not actual.
It's that way of them saying, well, it wasn't a CG trailer, right? But it's an in-engine cutscene. Effectively, that's what they're showing in that instance. I mean, you see I've got the footage up on here, and if it's indicative of it being the in-game visuals, then the in-engine visuals, that's lovely. But you don't want to see it faked, do you? You don't want to see like it sort of like. I never like it when they put it like here, this shot where it's sort of behind her shoulder, evoking sort of a camera in third person, but that's not gameplay that moment, and I think that doesn't.
Yeah,
really
but I think it looks like it's not quite Hellblade 2 level of refinement that you would say it's not in engine. Obviously, Hellblade 2 is an engine, so it kind of disproves the point. But
sure,
I think you can tell that this is an engine. And the bit she threw a fireball, and that I think that was probably the bit you were talking about, and that was it looks as close to gameplay. I just want a bit more of that, a bit of a 30 seconds of someone actually playing a bit of it. If we can't get proper gameplay, Everwild I think is very unlikely if it even still exists. Perfect Dark, I think people have been clamoring for it now, and I think with Halo taking a bit of a back seat, they do need a first party excluding Bethesda and Activision FPS. So I think we might see it. But yeah, Everworld is almost a write-off, so it was a bit of a long shot to have that in there. So I think it's almost two of those three. I think we will see in some form.
Okay. Lock it in. Lock in the bet. Big Manny, yes, it's Richard Ayoade. He is one of the lead characters and actors in Fable. That left a very positive response for me in terms of when I first saw him, because he's a very, very, very smart, very good comedic actor. And I think having him involved preserves the thing that I was concerned about with Fable, is that they lose, if they lost the Britishness of it, I think that would be a real shame. And I'm glad he's in it as a result.
Yeah, I think we have to be thankful that it is still a British studio that's leading it. Although, there hasn't been evidence of that humour really, obviously in Forza Horizon, limited with what you can do. But that's a really good indication of the direction they're going in. And I would prefer it to be more like tradition. I don't know what I mean. Not Monty Python humour, but like British humour from the last few decades, as opposed to like Monty Python humour, which I think Fable was traditionally. I want it to be a bit more modern in its humour.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's looking good.
No,
hopefully.
I agree. And I wanted to actually, just before we move on to our next bet, I wanted to circle back just really quickly to State of Decay 3, because I agree with you. It's been so long that we should be seeing it. There's just something just in the gut that's just telling me that it is not ready to show. And part of that, I think, is, when you what was that?
What have you heard?
Nothing. This is not me.
Got some sources on your interviews
right now.
Someone's dropped something. One of you.
What my sources say. What sources? I think, given this CG trailer, and actually we've seen other examples of games being announced with CG trailers or in-engine trailers, and whatever wacky way they want to try and conceal their gameplay first, they are a little bit more explicit about the mechanics of the game. Take Assassin's Creed Shadows, when we reacted to that I think in that trailer showed a lot of the new items, like the grappling hook, and a lot of them, you could see very clearly the mechanics. I also don't think this is a particularly good trailer either. I think this was one of the weaker things that they showed, because it is literally person alone in a game that is co-op hunting zombie deer. That was literally the content of this trailer. And I struggle with that, because I feel like you should be further along than that. Even at this point, you should have at least a even when this was first announced, a slightly more clearer vision of what this game is supposed to be. And I think, given what this looks like, I'm wondering if actually they were still in pre-production, that it was still very, very early days, and therefore,
what would they have been doing? They've literally, that's all they do is make State of Decay. So
yeah,
it's been a while, and I don't know how many updates 2 had. I don't feel like 2 was as well received as State of Decay 1. I think it was just more of the same. Like, personally, I would view that trailer as an indication that it's going to be more survival
sure,
focused, as opposed to you've got a big base in a town, and you know
which was
the
2,
traditional
wasn't it?
State of
That was
Decay stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, more like crafting, and you have a base, and like, yeah, the popular survival games that are out there now. And I think that would be a smart play, to be honest, in terms of making a game that's going to have a long tail on it and get lots of engagement and things. It's like, if State of Decay 3 is just an iteration over State of Decay 2, I don't think that's what they should be doing. I would have preferred a new IP, so I'm hoping it's a bit of a reinvention. And I think that survival horror kind of with MMO elements would be a smart way to go.
Going survival horror could actually be a really nice way of differentiating it from its previous games. That would kind of really be a nice step up for them, and new territory as well. I think also, maybe I'm a little bit, my opinion's a little bit affected by the Crystal Dynamics helping the initiative with their game. It recently was revealed, wasn't it, that the Coalition have been supporting Undead with State of Decay 3 because of their expertise with Unreal Engine 5. Now, if that was a relatively recent switch, I don't know if the game was always an Unreal Engine 5 game, or if it was an Unreal Engine 4 that got an upgrade mid-development. You would hope, given the kind of ubiquitous and very open source nature of Unreal, that transition would be fairly smooth. But given that they're now having to, again, that's recent news that the Coalition announced that they are supporting the studio with that. That, to me, doesn't scream we're ready to show off our game. It means they're leveraging expertise within the first party structure, and that makes sense. But I don't know if they're quite ready yet. And that's just what my gut's telling me. Everwild, they were spending too much time building the new barn. You know what I mean? Like, that was...
I think...
yeah.
Yeah, I think the Unreal Engine stuff, it's... From what I've heard, from what I've read, it's more about optimizing. Like, I think it's really, really resource intensive to get something looking good and running well on Unreal Engine 5. So I think the Coalition are maybe helping with the end of the development cycle to optimize.
Okay.
But obviously we don't know. You'd think if they've built on Unreal Engine 4, it would be simple enough to go to Unreal Engine 5, but then maybe they just need expertise from the Coalition to get it running right. And you think Ninja Theory can probably also assist now.
Well, yeah, my goodness. What a showcase for Unreal Engine in terms of just pure visual design. Like, that game just shows the promise of that, and how that next-gen engine can work on our current consoles. So I think, so if we're kind of locking those in, those are our sort of first bets. To reiterate, just to make sure that there is no confusion, no litigation needed, I'm gonna lock this in right now. I don't think we see Perfect Dark, State of Decay, or Everwild in any form during the showcase. And I wanna now, because I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call you on this. You said 4 originally. You said 2 out of 4 of these titles, and then went to 3. So where are we going?
I'll stick with 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. So on Rare, I didn't know where to mention this. I am curious as to what they do with Sea of Thieves now, because obviously it's just gone to PlayStation, but they have all the content that there's ever been in Sea of Thieves. So they've got all the Monkey Island and Pirates of the Caribbean stuff, rather than having like this stream of content that Xbox gamers have had. So you would think there's going to be now a stream of content. Well, not only targeted at PlayStation gamers, but also for the Xbox audience. But I would love to see them be a bit more aggressive with Sea of Thieves, like starting to change the whole kind of way the game plays. We've always wanted like base building, or you can have a permanent place in Sea of Thieves, that kind of thing. But the counter to that is the PlayStation audience have only just got the game, so you don't want to fuck around with that stuff too much. But the barn thing with Rare, it suggests to me that they're expanding, they're making something that isn't Sea of Thieves. And how many people does it take to keep Sea of Thieves running? And
is that
drip
a case
out
of
some
them,
content?
Are we seeing them now scaling up so that Everwild can go into full production? If they kind of cracked it, maybe, do we think? And if that's the case, if it's taken them this long to kind of figure out what the game is and how that actually is going to play out, has the scope then evolved beyond what we expected? There's a lot of open questions with that game that are still, I don't think the answers are particularly clear.
Well, yeah, if I was Phil Spencer or Matt Booty, I would say cancel Everwild and make a sequel to Sea of Thieves. It just seems like the smart thing to do. A sequel with much more in-depth kind of elements, because it's very it's not linear, it's very shallow. Sea of Thieves, there's the basic elements, and that's what you do in the game, and it's very addictive.
Do they take like an Overwatch to Overwatch 2 approach? Because Overwatch 2 now, was that, I can never remember if that was free to play or a premium product. I can never remember if that was. I'm gonna fact check myself on that live because it will help my point. Which is that if they made like a free to play sequel to the game as a way of sort of not forcing people necessarily to upgrade to the new one, if they want to continue playing Sea of Thieves in its original form, that can exist. Or do they take a different approach like they did with Warzone? Warzone 2 literally replaced Warzone 1 and everyone migrated across, both free-to-play, so again, slightly different, but that notion of, okay, this game has ended, the sequel is now what you play. I don't quite know what the best approach would be, really.
I think it would depend on player numbers. I don't know how many Xbox players are still playing it, and obviously PlayStation has had a big boost, but how long that will last... I think it's still got a decent community on it, or they go for something similar, but in the same with the same sort of mechanics. But given how good the sea still looks and the sailing elements are and stuff, I would personally just be looking to leverage that and go a bit more disruptive with the content. But they could always do that as like another mode that they've started to add some more modes into Sea of Thieves and things, so they could kind of release some new mechanics and have it as a standalone bit that people can try out before deciding if the whole community wants to go down that route. That's a good idea. Maybe.
And actually, just there during my adjudication, Overwatch 2 is free to play, so that's, I think, the best way you could migrate. Given that they could have just kept updating Overwatch, the devil's advocate to this is you could just keep iterating on Sea of Thieves and that be the thing that you continue to change. But if they wanted to, new engine, new features, like you said, adding depth, and they wanted to get everyone across, having the sequel be free to play would be a really smart way to do that, I think.
Yeah, we've got to rinse those PlayStation gamers, haven't you? Phil needs his money in the bank.
Got to get his 70 bill back. He's got to get that Activision money back in the bank. So, my next bet for the showcase.
Oh, I thought that was your bet. I thought that was it.
Oh no! This is. I've got more than one bet. I'm locked. I'm locked and loaded.
Okay, go for it.
So, my next bet, it relates to some of the conversations people have had following the leak last year relating to the Xbox handheld. I think we get a little soupçon, a little something, a little tease for a handheld with a full reveal and release in 2025. So I wanted to put a date on that. I don't think we see it properly this year. Maybe the Game Awards, end of the year, we get like a little bit more of a deep dive, but I don't think we see it properly. I think we just get a little maybe like a one more thing. I think the one more thing, my bet, is that it is the Xbox handheld, and then it segues into Black Ops 6, and obviously their big push on Game Pass, the fact that that's going to be day one. And then we see it properly at the end of the year with a release next year, I think.
Nice.
That's I'm taking some swings on my bets. I'm taking some swings.
Because I have seen it's been talked about in the interest of ultra competitiveness, my bet is going to be that we will not see
Excellent.
any new
Yes,
hardware.
good. Now I want to tally it
With
up.
it,
System
with
Link's
the
going to be
exception
saucy
of
next Wednesday.
the only thing is I'm not including like TV stuff or like a streaming stick. I don't think there'll necessarily be a streaming stick, but I don't count that as like hardware really.
I agree.
I'm talking about handheld or new SKU for the console.
And also I think I want to make sure I've clarified as well. I mean a native handheld. You are playing the games on it like a Switch, not cloud streaming. It could support cloud streaming, but which would make sense because they've got that tech already. But it's a native handheld. You are playing the games on that hardware. Yeah.
And this has to be a first-party.
Yep.
Device. It can't be like a Zeus.
We've seen that.
Xbox console
approved, or it's not like a ROG Ally or like the Asus thing, or it's
even if it was running only the Xbox OS.
But no, I think because not in partnership with. I don't think I would count that. That's a great product in itself. But what the sanctity of the bet, you got to keep the sanctity of the bet.
I think in that situation we would both lose. But what I'm trying to do is to water down. Well, not water down. The opposite. I'm trying to get you into really tight space with your bet.
You're boxing. You're not watering me down. You're boxing me in.
Exactly.
Keeping it tight. If we're going to tighten the bet up, it is a Xbox produced from their hardware division. It's their like a Series X, a Series S. It is a dedicated handheld made by Microsoft.
We don't think we see the digital Series X thing that was leaked.
Oh, good. I hadn't even thought about that in my bets or dreams. Actually, that's a good question.
The thing is, given how poor the console sales are, what difference is that going to? They'll knock off 50 quid off this price. It's just not going to make a difference, is it?
Yeah, unless
maybe it would.
Maybe it makes a difference if it's like bundled with a year of Game Pass, but not under the Xbox All Access like payment scheme. But like you buy the console, you get 12 months of Game Pass with it. That would be and if they need to market the shit out of Black Ops 6 being on that thing, a digital Series X with a year of Game Pass and tied to Black Ops 6 marketing would be a very strong play by them, I think.
How much? What price? Because the PS Pro is going to come out, PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
And it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
So it would be good from the...
Yeah. I think we'd be assuming here... Assumptions. We'd be assuming here that this wouldn't be any kind of power upgrade. It would be a Series X that's digital only and maybe a smaller form factor. That's what you're paying for, essentially. Like a PS2 Slim, that kind of logic. 349, 100 quid off.
Yeah, that's a good price. That's a really good price.
Yeah, because it kind of
can do that,
and it puts it between the X and the S's original launches as well. It'd be 349.
It'd be nice if they could cut the price of the S, for the purpose of but then Black Ops is cross-gen, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, but if they got again, if you talk about marketing, tying that to marketing, you got the S down to 199, came in 349 with the new digital X. That's quite.
What you want is for GTA to have the S as cheap as you can possibly get it.
Trying to
run like shit,
squeeze it down to 179 or something, but you got S and GTA,
crazy.
Something like that.
Yeah.
They could just throw Rockstar some money, But that's my, very specific bet there. I think we do see the handheld, and I think it is an Xbox. It's a bespoke piece of hardware. I think we do see it.
So also on the hardware side, the controller, like PS5 rip-off controller. That's been rumored. Do we think? Do we think that will? Well, it doesn't make sense to come with a handheld, so they've got.
I think they don't confuse the messaging. I think we see that in either a future, some kind of
business update.
Yeah, business update, little podcast. Some kind of maybe actually they have a tendency to show hardware at the Game Awards. They have a bit of a history there with that. The Series X was unveiled at the Game Awards, alongside Hellblade. So, I think that's more likely at the end of the year, so they don't confuse that messaging. That's my second bet. We can lock that in. Okay.
I'm just going to say about some of the leaks that were I feel like it's been weeks since these came out. So these aren't really my bets. They're just, I think it's worth talking about some of the stuff that the community is expecting to see. So Gears, some sort of Gears game. I think Gears 6 basically is strongly rumored to be there. It should be pretty massive. And we talk about how good the Coalition are frequently. So that would be a really strong, as confident as you can be that a game's going to be great. Because like Fable, although Playground games are really consistent, they haven't made that sort of game before. Perfect Dark, you've got no idea what that's going to be like.
But the Coalition, it's such Coalition.
There's
such a safe and well-oiled machine at this point now. And given also, like we were talking recently about Gears 5, we're playing the co-op of that at the moment, and how feature complete and how feature rich that game was from day one. I can almost see the trailer for Gear 6. I can see like it opening with like an in-engine cutscene, and then it segues immediately into actual gameplay. Even if the HUD's not on there, it's obviously gameplay. And
open world.
Say again.
Open world. Do you think?
I think sort of open linear, so like it's a directed experience, but it's like sandbox areas. I think that's more, because that would then build on Gears 5. I know that's in there. So but certainly I think as a Unreal Engine 5 showpiece, as a what will feel like a bit of an upgrade and a step up, I think that is looking that's looking good.
I think it would be weird to get that and the Gears collection that's been rumored, but I mean, you never know. Sometimes they put them together in a showcase. Especially if they want to drop some sort of
like Shadow Drop, maybe
bombshell, or something that's coming to PlayStation.
Right.
Which would be, well, we've seen from the PlayStation side talking about how they their strategy now is to have stuff released on PC with a view of the sequel being exclusive. So they'll put like Ghost of Tsushima on PC, and then have the sequel. Everyone wants to play the sequel as soon as it comes out, so then they go into the console ecosystem,
which encourages that people to go.
I mean, first. I think the community would go crazy if any Gears goes on PlayStation, but
I suppose if they're really going to push the multiplayer in 6, maybe that's a way to build that audience there and encourage that secondary spend. They are quite. The Gears 5 was quite egregious actually for its microtransactions and stuff in there. There was quite a lot, in-game currency and then DLC packs, and the seasonal updates were always free, but there was a lot of monetization in that game, and all optional. There was no pay to win, but it was certainly in there. And don't forget, it was a premium release before it was a Game Pass day one release. So I think it would be very interesting to see how they shape that and what their focus is. But I actually think I'd be comfortable putting in a spontaneous bet that a collection, a remastered collection, could be shadow dropped. I think that's a very easy, low stakes thing to shadow drop to, that wouldn't really require a big build up and a big marketing push, because they're just games that have already come out. But it's a nice package, and you get to go, oh great, go and check this out tonight. If you want to go back and play the co-op from them.
And do you think that would just be remasters?
Yes, I don't think we get any kind of elaborate remake there on Gears. I think we're more likely to get just sort of very nicely upscaled, maybe some like 3D audio going on with them, some like, if they were able to include the multiplayer and they turn the servers back on.
I'll have to, I think.
That would be pretty cool, actually, because there's a lot of fondness for those games. So,
and there's enough difference between the multiplayer from game to game. Like Halo is significantly different.
Yeah, for sure. Just in terms of the weapon balance and the kind of equipment you have access to, they did add a lot between each game. Game modes as well. Cool. They had some really nice stuff there. Maybe that could almost be like a sort of Master Chief Collection style. Sort of they have a united multiplayer. That could be quite a.
You've definitely modeled it on that. Ideally implemented better, because that only got good after about 5 years, didn't it? There have been suggestions that there will be a shadow drop of some sort. So
I think that could be it. That's a healthy bet. That's a healthy bet.
I don't know what else it would be, because I don't think, unless it's a completely new IP or something from Obsidian, some sort of little Obsidian game.
Sure,
to do. No, it's a good shout.
Okay.
And the other the other main one was Doom,
Mm,
a new Doom game, which I think will go down really well. But that will be, I'm sure, will be multi-platform at launch.
yeah,
I think you'd expect that. Not that they'll tell us that during the
of
showcase,
course.
but
Had to
it will
wait for the
come
blog
out.
post.
Phil will tell IGN and afterwards
Yeah,
maybe.
McCaffrey's got all those hot questions locked and loaded. I think if, say, for example, id Software came in with a new IP, which isn't going to happen if they're going to be working on Doom, but if they came in with a new IP, I would expect that to be Xbox and PC. I think if it was, even if it was a period of just a year's exclusivity, because they're taking that approach to it, much like I suppose like PlayStation's approach now is that their sort of single player titles, so like their Last of Us, God of War's, Horizons, they're going to be exclusive to console at first. They're not going to day and date on PC, but their live service multiplayer games like Helldivers, like Concord, they're going to be day and date. I actually think that strategy is very smart. It does protect the exclusivity of their ecosystem on console, and then also leverages that PC space as well. Xbox being in third, they kind of have to make their stuff as available as they can almost immediately. Xbox PC straight away. There's not really any difference. It's just now, Xbox is so, as a console platform, is so close to a PC experience that they're just one and the same, really. It's just down to preference, and accessibility, of course, as well.
I'd love a multiplayer like Quake style component,
Yeah,
some sort of Doom paced arena
for
shooter. I think
sure.
is unlikely, but that would appeal to me more than a single player Doom. But I know that's going against the grain. But
No, but
just in
that,
terms of what appeals to me,
and what a great way to then introduce that again through Game Pass, to have that community and player base then able to access that. They've got the single player there, yes. Then it would become like the COD thing, right? Which is that most people tend to just not to be too worried about the campaign.
yeah.
Although objectively, I think Doom's campaign is going to be stronger than what Call of Duty historically has brought. So yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. I think that's a pretty. I think that's a logical bet. I think for stuff we see. I'm happy to segue now into some dreams, into some
Yeah.
actual. If this happened, then
Well,
praise be.
can we just I just wanted to get your views on what you expect to get in terms of content, Activision content dropping into Game Pass
Oh, I
as
see.
part of this,
Yeah.
if
Uh,
anything.
my bets would be we get a little smattering, like a kind of. I'll put a number on it because I quite like holding myself to some bets. I think we get like five titles that aren't just COD. I think we get a COD game in there, maybe like the original Black Ops. That'd be a really smart thing to do, I think, with Black Ops 6 coming. To bookend the series. So have the original Black Ops, maybe something like Crash Team Racing with its online multiplayer. Get the Spyro collection on there. I think that's a possibility, and maybe the Tony Hawk games as well. So you get
Good
the
shout.
Tony Hawks 1 and 2, and it's sort of maybe. Oh, I've only listed 4, haven't I? I've got a sanctity of the bet. I said 5.
Well, you can downgrade it if you
I
need
can
to.
downgrade.
If you're feeling a bit panicky.
Sweating to think of the IP. Spyro, Crash Team Racing. The Crash Collection is where you get 2 Crash games. So you get the Crash Team Racing and then the Crash Collection. Black Ops 1, Spyro's Collection, and Tony Hawk.
I mean, I'm not going to hold you to the specific IP. I think that'd be pretty harsh.
That's fine. So I've got to go strong with my bet. I've got to come in strong.
So I will say, I think hopefully Phil, like he used to, like the good old days, he'd come on stage and drop the backwards compatibility, and it'd be like 50 games or something.
Okay.
I think.
So you think we get like a Bethesda blowout?
We would get like a Phil like throwing up games onto Game Pass I think it's due. It's been long enough, and certainly games that exist digitally on Xbox already, I would expect them to be going into Game Pass, with the exception maybe of Call of Duty, where it might not make sense to have all the Call of Duty games. I don't know. That's a bit, for me, Call of Duty needs like we said with the Gears collection, it needs some sort of launcher or something to handle all those
Yeah.
games. I think it doesn't work having them all
Yeah, because
individually.
the modern games from Modern Warfare 1, that reboot onwards, have that launcher now that's packaged in with Warzone. So Modern Warfare's 1, 2, and 3 and Warzone are all in that Call of Duty launcher. I suppose you could divide them up almost by the studios. You could have like a Black Ops launcher,
Well, or
something to
like
that effect.
I'd love like a rare replay style thing, and it has all
Yeah.
the games, and then it has like the number of active players in each one, so you can see everyone's playing whatever Black Ops 2. So you go into Black Ops 2.
Yeah, nice.
It's not going to happen, but I think we'll see. We need to see something from
we're gonna see.
those,
Yeah, and they've been
now.
quite bullish, haven't they, with Black Ops 6? I think I talked about this last week. How surprised I was that Black Ops 6 is coming to Game Pass on day one this year. I think it was always inevitable, but I thought maybe it would be like 6 months after. That there would be like the one exception to the day one rule, is that and it would not be because they didn't want to. It would be because of either prior contracts or terms of the CMA settlement, or there'd be something that would prevent them from being able to actually action that addition.
Yeah.
And it surprised me. So actually, if anything, if you were to draw that conclusion and you sort of look at that and be like, oh no, they're ready to talk about that now in the summer, that end of the year, that game is going to be day one, that I think actually backs up your bet, which is that you then would see a Bethesda style, here's 20 games, and 12 of them are Call of Duty games, within that.
Yeah, I also think that the rumored price increase, which obviously won't be announced at the show, well, you'd hope not, is a lot more palatable if you've got like 20 Activision games that have all dropped in. You can kind of justify it. I don't think you can justify it on Call of Duty alone. Well, I mean you can, but it's more palatable with a big handful of games behind it. So especially games that appeal to a diverse audience. If you're not into COD, you've still got to pay an extra £2 a month for Game Pass. Yeah. There's going to be something from Activision that appeals to you that's going in. So
no, for sure. I'm happy to lock in my bet. I'm happy it's going to be just a little smattering. He's not going to go mad. He's going to just do 5, and I think for fun I've identified the IP. But because I got to roll back a little bit because I'm really boxing. That box is getting tight. But yeah, I think my bet is five Activision games as a Game Pass drop in there.
Great.
So yeah, I'm happy to now segue into our dreams, things we're really, really hoping to see. My dream ties in with one of my bets.
Oh shit.
You remember, my first bet was I didn't think we'd see Perfect Dark, State of Decay 3, and Everwild. My dream would be Everwild. We see it. Beta. Shadow drop.
Wow.
So you basically, instead of rebranding, which was an idea I know we talked about, I think offline actually, about the idea of you just get rid of Everwild as a brand, rename it, and then announce a process that you get ahead of the conversation. You kind of reframe everyone's expectations about it too, and just the open beta is live right now. If you're a Game Pass subscriber, cool. You get in.
Yeah.
And that
because there's nothing to play at the moment. It's really good timing for a beta.
Such a good time. You saw that from the State of Play. You saw that Concord's getting a beta in July. Marvel Rivals is getting a beta, I think, in July as well. There's a few things that we're going to see open and accessible. There's been a few big early access releases on PC. No Rest for the Wicked, Hades 2. They've all just come into an early access as well. So I think you're right, it's a good time of year for that, and I think it will be a fantastic way for Rare to say, we are showing up, this is what the game is, just go and get a feel for it yourselves, go, if you want to know what Everwild is, you get to now figure that out yourself, and that I think is a great way of doing that.
Something I want to introduce to this, percent likelihood you think of that happening.
Oh wow!
Because we can all just come up with a complete pipe dream that's never going to happen.
Yep.
I'm curious to get your thoughts on how likely you think
10%.
that is.
10% chance.
Okay.
10% chance.
All right.
I think it's all right. Okay. I think it. Yeah. I don't. I'm not putting stock in that. I think it's it's a the low chance of happening, but that would be my dream way for them to handle Everwild.
And is that in terms of hierarchy of your dreams? Where does that come?
We got percentage of the dreams, hierarchy of the dreams. This is great. I think this would be pretty high up actually. I would put that at number 2. I've got 3 dreams I'm sharing, so that's my number 2 dream in the list. It's going to be right there in the middle, but with 10% chance I think of actually happening. So that's interesting, isn't it? But in terms of what I want versus whether I think it will happen. Yeah.
Okay. Does the game for your first dream start with a B?
No.
Okay.
No.
So
that's my number 3.
Oh.
It's my number
surely.
3.
Okay. Okay. Why is that number 3?
It's number 3 because it has an even lower percentage chance of happening.
Okay. I'll leave that for you then.
Yeah.
My number 1 is a. Well, this kind of a split dream, because there's been rumored. I think in the leak it was rumored that there was going to be an Oblivion remaster. People are also talking about someone shitting out a Fallout game off the back of the Fallout series.
Right.
So mine's going to kind of, it's a bit of a cheat. Something from Fallout or Elder Scrolls, either a remaster, like a heavy remaster. I don't just want whatever 4K upscaling, or a new. I prefer like a new game in the Fallout 4 engine, or a new game in the Skyrim engine. Skyrim's really old now, so it's quite unlikely, but that would be brilliant. Obviously, I love Oblivion, so an Oblivion remaster would go down pretty well, and I'd definitely play it again. But yeah, something from kind of their old stuff to tide us over until Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, nice.
6.
Nice. Well, I'll address. Yeah, that, and actually the idea as well of them having something that wouldn't need to be updated. It would just be that remaster is out, it's done, it's there. You wouldn't necessarily need to worry about that being, say, like ported down to Switch either, because you've got Skyrim on there. And then, so, when I think, did they release Oblivion on Switch as well, or has that not been re-released? So that potentially then could work, couldn't it? They could then leverage that audience if they wanted to, and get that over there. So
it's quite rough, though, Oblivion, especially if you've come into the series through Skyrim. It's not very accessible. So I don't know. I feel like they'd maybe have to make some bigger changes to Oblivion to have it kind of be a mainstream success with a modern audience. But I also wouldn't rule out like another studio, because we used to have Obsidian. Obsidian did New Vegas, and we talked about it before. I love that way of doing things. Have the main Bethesda studio make like the main game, and then another studio, a slightly smaller studio, just make like a new campaign for it. I think it's a great way to get some extra revenue. I don't know why they haven't been doing it.
No, it's a good idea, like you say. It's an easy way to leverage something that people already love.
And I think there's a 40% chance that we get something in that ballpark. My
percentages are very low in my dreams. they're not,
well, that's what dreams are. That's what dreams are for. But bets are, for me, are like 70%.
Yeah.
Plus.
Yeah.
So
we think we're going to see those things. So like, yeah. So
be disappointed if you don't.
I'll break down my number 1 then. This I think is. I actually think, because they've been quiet for so long, I think we could see something from them. But much how Toys for Bob divested and spun off, but have now done an Xbox partnership on an IP, expecting it to be Spyro potentially. But they've got, they're working on something for Xbox exclusively. My dream would be the fantastic Raven Software get a new first-person shooter IP to develop, and they get kind of rotated out of Call of Duty, leaving them with Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer as the 3 primary studios, and Raven get to make something fresh. They get to make something new, and it's wacky. You know what I mean? It might have like an episodic release structure, or it's it's 2-player mandated co-op like Hazelight Games or something, like just something crazy.
Yeah, cool.
Just let them be, just unleash Raven. That's my number one dream, and I actually think that's like a sort of 20% Phil just coming in with one quick change. You know, that's my dream for them, is that they just get something, they get the chance to cook properly for the first time in over a decade.
Do you think that Raven have the appeal to make that? Like, I think definitely from a capability point of view, they could do it. But do people know Raven well enough to justify that?
Possibly not, because of the fact they've been absorbed within the Call of Duty dev cycle. You know, they're very much. I don't know how many Call of Duties actually that they would have led on, because I feel like the primary studios are Infinity Ward, Treyarch for Black Ops, and then Sledgehammer for like Advanced Warfare or the sort of the other spin-offs. They're very much a support team for them. Maybe that's also where the dream comes from, is that they then get to break out of that.
Well, unless they've been working on something in the background for the last
incubating, doing like an
decade.
Obsidian. You know, they've been cooking up something.
Yeah.
I love what Obsidian do. The fact that we were able to get like the Outer Worlds 2, Avowed, Grounded, and Pentiment all. I mean, what an incredible staple of IP that they've worked in terms of variation, and then being given the scope to, you know, they've. I'd put them sort of number 2 underneath the Coalition in terms of value for their first party right now. It's certainly not going to be something like 343, which we've just seen, you know, be so poorly managed.
Yeah.
But no, switching back to Activision, I think if it wasn't Toys for Bob that divested and did their own thing, you know, I would have wanted it to be Raven, to sort of to break out of that a little bit. But that's number one dream. That's 20%. We've already covered it a little bit. My third is Banjo. It's always Banjo. I've got to represent, but it's 5%.
I don't think we had Banjo in last year because we were just getting so fed up with, with it being, and obviously Phil has teased it somewhat.
He has teased it, and
which for me would put the percentage up. Like, I think there's like a 15% chance that we get a new Banjo game.
I would have been right there with you on that exact percentage if Toys for Bob hadn't divested.
Yeah. Would you? Who would you trust Rare doing it? Would you want Playtonic doing it? Because I'd probably trust Rare. This isn't to be disparaging about Playtonic, but just like Yooka-Laylee captured certain elements, but I would want AAA backing for a Banjo game. I don't really want an indie game, indie studio.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I actually think so. Twofold on that. I agree with you. I think you'd almost want Playtonic to now continue doing their own thing. Let them be their own studio and let them continue with that.
Or it's a partnership.
Or it's a partnership thing. Yeah, they support they still working on their own stuff, but they become a support studio for them.
For me, I would want Playtonic to say, this is what the Banjo game should be. Here's the music.
Yeah.
Here's the character design.
Yeah.
And even the level design, and then they give it to Rare, and Rare make
Rare games in partnership with Playtonic, but composed by Grant Kirkhope from Playtonic, and
exactly.
It's that. Yeah, absolutely. Big Manny, Banjo 3 has to happen. I could not agree more. I actually think, I think I want a remake first. I think I
put a Can you play that video if you got it queued up?
I don't, so I should have.
You haven't got it?
Sorry,
okay.
I missed it. I know exactly the one you're talking about as well. Yeah, so I'll make sure I lock and load that. But this will come up again, because this will be part of our post show, won't it? This will be the post system link next week, so I'll get that queued up for there. Yeah, gorgeous, right? Just the most...
Well, yeah.
Stunning little remake.
And it would help justify them doing it. But I think there's been loose rumours about it for long enough that it could have been in production for a couple of years if it does exist. But
now if you wanna get me to like stand up and just completely lose my mind, then Banjo 3 announced, Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie double remake Shadow Drop. That would be the... It's 1%. It's 1%.
Who's making all this stuff?
It's dreams. They're dreams. You gotta let me dream. You gotta let me... You box me in with my bets. You gotta rip that box apart and let me just dream with this one. So, that's that.
So Banjo is my number one.
Yeah.
As much as I would love the Bethesda stuff, I'm tempted to put Bethesda at number one because I think it's more likely. But in terms of the impact it would have on me, Banjo would be number one, and I agree with basically everything you've said on it. My number three, which is a bit of an out there one, would be that there's that original Xbox online multiplayer project.
Yeah, and
is that they collaborate or whatever they make them shut down and do it themselves.
They do it themselves.
But there's not a whole lot on original Xbox. But I would love the them to be playable again, like the Switch Virtual Console stuff. Just kind of do something with those older games, and that's right up Phil's street, but not something that I don't think Satchel Nadella would be prepared to put any money into.
It could be like Switch Online, which has a very bespoke library for N64 games for for SNES and NES. Do that with the original Xbox games. You might get a couple of licensed ones in there that can you imagine get Black Arrow back online. Speaking of Ubisoft and getting Rainbow Six in there, and I think Ubisoft generally are pretty willing to play ball. They like to put their stuff out. They want to partner with various platform holders, so that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. I think you'd have a decent percentage on something like that, even though it would be, I was going to
say 5%.
So the thing actually happening, I think you're right. I think 5% is good. I think if it happened, I think the chances of then getting those marquee titles that are third-party partnerships that were like second-party releases on Xbox originally, that I think is a good chance you get that stuff in there if they pull the trigger on it.
The concern from me would be that the games that would be really impactful, which would be Project Gotham, the sports first-party sports games that we had. Because obviously we've had Halo, don't need that anymore. It would be licensing around the music, especially in Project Gotham, and licensing around the sports people in the sports games that have probably, I assume they've all expired.
That's a good point.
Which might be restrictive on that side. But some of the third party stuff, like you say, Rainbow Six, Conflict Desert Storm, which was like iconic Xbox original game.
Get
which
one
I
and
don't
two.
Think
Get two's co-op on there, and like Switch Online, they make the local as an online multiplayer. Come on, that's cooking. That's cooking.
If you could get some third-party games that never had online multiplayer,
full Spectrum Warrior, the system link support of that game, you get that on there.
Time Splitters. I tell you, if you had Time Splitters with online because Time Splitters was split screen multiplayer, wasn't it?
It was.
And then 2 was online.
That's right.
I think.
Yep.
If you could have, because that studio shut as well. Like, if you could do that, it would just be
to rescue
insane.
the IP from obscurity.
We all know who owns the Time Splitters IP, so it's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it's gonna be an issue, baby. Well, that is some pretty solid bets and dreams. I'm concerned that now I know we have the VOD, but I want to make sure I've got it like straight in my head. So, my bets were that we don't see Perfect Dark, State of Decay, or Everwild. We see an Xbox handheld. We see that clearly, and we don't see any of the sort of like controller stuff that maybe had leaked previously. I think they were my bets. I hope I have to check the tape now. Did I forget one? Have I forgotten a bet that I made?
I thought you had 3, but I'm not sure what the third one was.
I think what
we should just check it after. I think because I'm going to struggle to. I mean, mine are basically the inverse of yours.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
and then my top 3 dreams being Raven Software, Everwild, Shadow Drop, and then of a beta, and then Banjo Banjo's back, some kind of return for him.
I love it. Can I just ask? I mean, I don't want to draw us out as usual. We're running long, but I wanted to ask what. So I'm pretty hyped for this showcase. Probably more. I'm probably expecting it to be better than I've possibly ever expected an Xbox showcase to be. Even like a hardware announcement showcase, just because of the number of studios, the stuff that's coming like 1 or 2 years out that we haven't seen gameplay footage for, like Perfect Dark, Fable, State of Decay. And if I see gameplay for Fable and gameplay for State of Decay, and they look decent, that will be really good for me because they're massively anticipated.
Many of these games have been not revealed in any way since their initial announcement. Like, even things like Clockwork Revolution, South of Midnight. If we saw any of those, that for me would be big win.
Well, there's Avowed. We haven't seen much of Avowed. We saw the gameplay, but I want to see like the settlements and NPCs, the non-combat stuff I want to see in Avowed. We've got Indiana Jones that we haven't seen proper gameplay for. Like someone playing through a level, which could be really strong. I don't think we'll probably see Indiana Jones. I think maybe we'll get a quick trailer and then a showcase for that specific. What do they call it? I forget. For that specific game, for Avowed and Indiana Jones, maybe later in the year. Although it maybe should have been a bet. I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana Jones slips, because I just don't see the point in bringing it out this year.
Especially the amount they've got coming at the end of the year with Avowed, Ara, Flight Sim, Indiana Jones, and then the Shattered Space Starfield expansion. To have all 5 of those within like 3 months of each other. Plus, we might get a shadow drop of something now as well. So that's another thing on top of that. So
where I was going with that was I wanted to... Well, we've done this sometimes before. What would they need to show for you to... In terms of like quantity... We sometimes said X number of new IPs.
Yeah.
Gameplay. Like what would you need to see? And we can tick them off as we go.
I feel the box. It's coming in.
This isn't a bet. This is to set your what are you expecting in terms of quantity of new stuff versus gameplay?
I think we see proportionally. I think we see more updates of things that we already knew about. I think we see a lot of hopefully. Maybe this is more.
I don't think we need anything new.
That's my thing.
Is
you can show Avowed, State of Decay 3, Perfect Dark, Everwild, Fable, South of Midnight, Clockwork Revolution. That's 7 IP off the top of my head that we have not seen meaningful gameplay from, or apart from Avowed, have any kind of date on them.
Yeah, and we're gonna. We're not going to. We may have Gears and we may have Doom, which will be new games, not new IP. I don't think we need new IP particularly at this point.
Because we have
next year. Give us some new stuff.
Yeah, and actually, amongst those things I mentioned, Avowed, South of Midnight, Clockwork Revolution are all new IP.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Fable's a reboot. State of Decay 3 is a sequel, but there's not actually a lot of sequels in there. They are predominantly either reboots or new IP. So I think you see a combination of, like, I think at least, given the number of studios, I'd want to see, of those titles I just listed, I'd like to see at least 3. I think at least 3 meaningful updates, and I'd be happy actually if a lot of them ended with 2025. Just map out next year for us, because that's encouraging subscription retention. It keeps me invested. Just don't now show Fable gameplay, but put 2027 on it. You can't.
There's no point. Just don't show it.
Don't show it if it's not ready to.
You've got so much other stuff, especially stuff coming this year. So Avowed and Indiana Jones. Rather than show Fable if it's 27, just show like someone playing Avowed for 10 minutes or someone playing Indiana Jones for 10 minutes.
Arcane Leon are pretty quick at turning their stuff around. We from between, like a lot of Bethesda stuff, you sort of get the announcement to release sometimes quite quickly. I wouldn't be surprised actually if we see Blade. If we see some early gameplay of Blade.
Of course, yeah.
I know that the film, the MCU film of that is cooking as well. Mahershala Ali's playing the character, and I think that will be a good time to capitalize on people talking about that as well. So I think you could very easily see a lot of stuff that we've already know about. I think that's going to be the real focus of this showcase. I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of surprises in terms of new titles. I think we're going to see a lot of updates and stuff we already know.
Yeah. It's always part of the quality for me is we always say we want to see gameplay. But my favorite kind of E3 stuff is literally have someone on stage with a controller playing the game, and that's what I want. Like at least 2 of those kind of segments, rather than just Phil or Sarah Bond being there. It's like, here's a game, here's a trailer. Let's talk to a developer, do a stupid look at the developers' offices for 20 minutes. I want to see someone playing the game, even if it's going to be pre-recorded, isn't it? But do we know how long it is, the show?
We don't actually. That's a good point. Because because I think
the Call of Duty an hour,
ones,
I guess.
Yeah, the Call of Duty one's at least an hour. So I think.
Well, when does that start, or is it just after? We haven't got a time.
Yeah, straight after the showcase.
Okay.
So I think given that it's a different form, it's not a live show. I don't think we're going to see anyone physically actually playing. But what I'd love is the equivalent, which would be like a 5 or 7 minute uncut gameplay with HUD.
Well, you can have
stuff. You know.
I feel like when Phil played 33 Immortals, it wasn't live. Maybe it was, but you can just have whatever someone that's obviously playing it. Is it normally 90 minutes?
Yes. Yeah, typically.
I guess we should expect that, given the content they've got to get through.
Yeah, 90 minutes plus the hour for Black Ops.
Yeah.
Then as the post-show. Well, we
Great.
lock them
Can't
in.
wait.
Sunday
at 6?
Sunday at 6.
British time, I think.
Yep, Sunday at 6 p.m. BST. And we'll then be unpacking all our bets and dreams are full. I think there's potential for that to be quite a focus, like we've done tonight. You know, a very focused episode of System Link the following Wednesday, unpacking our thoughts from the showcase. I'll be locked and loaded with even more transitions and more videos. I think there'll be a lot of that. Could potentially, couldn't we do a sort of, not watch along particularly, but we could have it just playing in the background and we're talking about it as it goes. That could work quite nicely. So something, a bit of some live planning there from us. So just want to take a really quick segue just to shout out something that went up earlier this week, which was a brand new episode of my podcast with Jeff Steitzer. This is Tag and Bag, our generational conversational podcast. A new episode went live on Monday. It was a very quite a sweet, quite personal episode. Jeff is really someone who I have a lot of respect and time for. He's very willing to open up and talk about things in his personal life, and also his generally his philosophy and approach to creativity and family, and in this particular episode, his work-life balance. It was a really, really fascinating conversation that went up on YouTube, and you can check that out, please, at Burly Media if you're interested in having a look. Big Manny coming in there saying a live commentary would be really cool to watch. It's very interesting that you mentioned that. So yeah, absolutely.
We thought about it, haven't we? 6 o'clock doesn't work for us. With kids to put to bed. That's the problem, isn't it? I mean, we were talking about potentially just doing it later because we will watch it together.
We always do. Yeah,
we'll watch it on that day, and we'll just watch it later in the evening. And avoid leaks.
Yeah, of course. I think for this particular one, given where we're at, and like you said, in terms of like fatherly logistics, it will be that following Wednesday, that System Link will be we'll have it playing. I think that's a really nice idea. Now we've just kind of sanded it out. We'll have the showcase playing in the background, and then we'll be talking about it as we go, using that as our guide. And then potentially in the future, we could look at doing like a live reaction to it, hanging out with our audience.
We can certainly skip through any certain bits, can't we?
A bespoke. There you go. We could do like a bespoke montage, couldn't we? Just cut together a few trailers that we think we wanted to shout out. Maybe that'd be quite good.
Yeah,
I think we'll do that. That's our plan. Big Ben, I haven't listened to the new one yet, but I will tomorrow morning. Are you legend? Thank you so much for supporting. It's my I think it's of the 5 I've shot, it's my favorite one we did this week's episode. I really enjoyed it.
My favorite bit was Jeff being really jealous of you for being in 24. The look on his face, he's no, he wasn't jealous. He was just really, really happy for you, obviously, and you've got that sort of relationship with him, which is really nice to see. But it was, it was great that moment. He obviously loves the show as well. It
really surprised him, I think, too. He just didn't expect that was going to come up, and it's a really nice moment. He's a very he's very like I like the bit at the end, where I don't introduce or say my own name properly, and then he kind of calls me out on it. I kept that in the edit because it's such a sweet moment where he's like, "Oh, Jeff Steitzer and me," which is a really nice. Just shows his sense of humor. Shows how easy he is to talk to.
I'm spoiling all the bits from the episode, and it's not what we're supposed to be doing. But I loved the bit that he's like when he was a kid, he had the same voice.
Yeah, totally. He's like 14, I think he says, doesn't he? And he's like, he sounded like this, and it's just great. I know that, and the fact that he's able to sort of speak to that with a sense of humor about it as well. I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, definitely worth watching for sure.
Yeah, what a dude. So please consider checking that out. We also actually just recently had an episode of Some Drivel that went up the previous Monday with the Soundlings, Matt Naylor and Sunny Ray, two very, very talented musicians. They were extremely generous with their time because I know how busy those two guys are. And they, very, very, very open about their process of working together, how they collaborate on soundtracks, how they pick projects. It was a really good conversation. So again, please consider checking that out at Burly Bird Media. It's up on YouTube and on Podbean and Spotify as well if you fancy listening to it, just audio only. So we're going to carry on now with our System Link podcast this evening. I wanted to give a quick sort of tip of the hat, an acknowledgement of Destiny 2, which has just dropped its... Is it the final shape? Have I got that correct? It's the new expansion.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. Like it's done crazy numbers. I think 316,000 people on Steam was the peak. It's only been out a few days, which is fantastic. I think the previous expansion didn't land that well. So
okay,
and also Bungie have been under some pressure, supposed pressure in terms of the weird relationship they have with Sony. Possibly Sony looking to take control of them if they weren't hitting certain targets. I think they got called out in a investor meeting,
right?
For not, maybe underperforming. So for them to have pulled this out the bag is really, really great to see. I think we'd all, I don't want to be too harsh on 343, but we'd all rather have Bungie still making the Halo games if we could. And yeah, nice to have that team still doing well. So the negative side was there were big server issues as a result of the concurrent player count.
Right. Okay.
So a lot of people weren't able to play in the first couple of days. I think it's getting better, but I don't know if it's still flawless or not. But obviously, it's being an online game. You basically can't play it if you can't connect to the servers. So it's going to be disappointing if you paid money for it. But I am just pleased to see it doing well. I think we need more games competing. We've talked about like the top 10 most played games and stuff. We need stuff like Destiny to be right up there competing with Fortnite and
absolutely.
Everything
And that studio with its pedigree, it's great to see them continuing to find success. I mean, I have such a lot of love for Bungie from their Halo days. Halo 3 is still my favorite Halo of all time, and I think one of the best multiplayer designs ever made. I didn't enjoy Destiny 1 at all. I completely fell off that game. I tried the beta and it just wasn't for me. But when we talked about our itinerary for tonight and everything we wanted to discuss, this really did, the fact that it's free to play. I know the expansions obviously are paid, but the base game is free to play. And it did give me a certain... maybe it's after 5 years of being kind of Brexit on this series that maybe it's worth a revisit potentially. Just
I was going to say, I think we should try it.
Yeah. I think I'd like to give it another shot, and I think particularly because Destiny 2 is continuing to be supported and updated. If there's something in that base game that we kind of look at the co-op of that and go, well, this is something that we could really get our teeth stuck into and really enjoy. I would then have much more interest in then investing in those expansions if we then find that the base game is really enjoyable.
I think I liked I liked the feel of the combat. It felt like you'd expect Bungie shooting to feel. It was all the other stuff that didn't click. When I think I played the beta at the same time as you.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely up for giving it a go. So I think this is, I don't know if it's confirmed as the last expansion, but they're kind of wrapping up the content. This isn't the last thing they're doing for Destiny 2, but it's getting there. So a nice way to kind of see it out as it's
and also you look at players like ourselves that have kind of we lapsed from the series, we weren't really sort of following it particularly. If this is the amount, you see the amount they've supported this game, and this being the culmination of that, there would be a lot there for a new player to jump into. It potentially could be quite overwhelming. It could be quite a high barrier in terms of understanding the lore and the context of what's going on. But if you're someone that then clicks with the gameplay and you really enjoy it, there then is a huge amount of paid expansions and free updates for you to then dig into with the game just as in its base form, just being free to play. So I think it's a great opportunity if you're someone that hasn't particularly explored it previously, like we haven't. Could be a nice way in to give it a go, and then there's plenty there if you want to continue enjoying it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, that was a good one. I wanted to throw in my indie shout out as well this evening, which is a little Xbox title that was originally released on PC and is now on Xbox. Hypercharge Unboxed. We've seen some quite emotional, quite tearful videos from the lead dev. Just slightly blown away by the response. We talk about, Destiny 2 sales success and this new expansion finding a really, really broad audience, melting their servers. Hypercharge Unboxed, obviously from a very small team of 8. It's an indie studio that have put this thing together. It's sold now, I saw earlier today, 60,000 copies on Xbox, which for an indie team on a budget price release is a huge deal. That is going to afford them opportunities not only to continue supporting the game, but potentially funding future projects. I'm being assaulted by a gnat. The concept of it looks really interesting, and I actually didn't realise quite how feature complete it was. There's a co-op campaign, there's offline split screen, you can fight against bots, and there's also competitive online multiplayer, PvP. So it's pretty feature rich if it's something you end up getting into and enjoying. So
yeah, I've seen quite a few people on my friends list playing it, and it's interesting. Obviously, a lot of people might be playing maybe playing a single player, but for an indie game like that, 50,000 is obviously not big numbers. But for them not to be having server problems when presumably they wouldn't have expected it to land like this is impressive. And the developers being so communicative on social media, and I think like he was in tears because he was so happy to have hit these numbers. That's just great to see, and a good counter argument for Game Pass. Like, this isn't a Game Pass release. People have still bought it. How would it have done? I mean, it would have done ridiculous numbers on Game Pass, you have to think, but whether that would have worked for them, just nice to see an alternative.
Yeah, and proof that Xbox doesn't necessarily just as a platform cannibalize sales of games like this, because it can still find an audience, even though it's not in Game Pass. Wouldn't be surprised if this becomes almost like what we talked about with Concord. They've released it as a budget price release, and then a year from now gets added to Game Pass as another hit to keep that player base alive, keep the servers being supported with a good community. You could very easily see that happening, and they've then enjoyed the best of both worlds. They've enjoyed the initial sales success, which was greater than they ever predicted. In terms of the time frame, it was only 6 days they've managed to do that.
Yeah. So to put it in context, this in terms of paid sales on Xbox has ranked higher than Hellblade 2. In terms of the chart, so you can't read too much into it because it depends on what big stuff is releasing. But we wanted to mention Hellblade 2 slightly because I don't know if it was on the show. I think it was on the show. We were talking about whether Hellblade was kind of artificially low in like the most played chart because it's a shorter game, and also whether people were kind of pacing themselves with it, which is what I am doing with it. But it's like I think the highest position it got was 23rd, and it's in terms of most played games, and it's going down. I think it's 30 in the 30s now, which isn't great. And it was rumored, I think leaked quite strongly, that there's another Hellblade game in development, which you'd have to wonder at the sense of that.
Sure.
If even among Game Pass players it hasn't really resonated. Like you look at this game, if that had been a Game Pass release, I think more people would have played it than have played Hellblade 2. Possibly. That's just me talking out my arse, but I just it as a Game Pass release, that's like complete bread and butter.
Yeah.
Like Power World, it's just a sort of thing that you can see going kind of viral on Game Pass.
And finding Hellblade an audience because of it,
We talked about the advantages of Hellblade 2. It's important to have like a hardcore, PlayStation style single player experience in Game Pass because we haven't had any first party ones. But I mean, it's shutting Tango, but keep making Hellblade 3. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, especially if that's the metric that we're tracking, right? And it's that, but that also I suppose says more about how well this indie team that have created Hypercharge have managed to pitch and sell this game and really get people on board in such great numbers. For a team of that size, it's such a great win for them, and to be able to celebrate.
You know
that
how much it is?
That is a great question. I'm also going to live correct myself on that because I want to know.
I think for it to do that amount of sales, it must be very reasonably priced. And I'm tempted because that many people playing it must be good.
There must be something in it, right?
And there is a gap for, which is why I wanted Concord to be something else. There's a gap for a traditional multiplayer competitive FPS.
I agree.
We're not. I don't mean like Call of Duty. I mean like we used to have, like almost generic arcade FPS games that we used to. I think I had it originally in my dreams, but it kind of got knocked down. I just like something in that space.
For sure, and actually having something like this partially ticking that box makes sense. It's a great price, $24.99.
Yeah,
great price
for a game with single player, multiplayer.
Yeah, there's a complete edition for $33.49 that just includes, like, I think a few extra skins and stuff. It's a bit more sort of like, you know, like almost like pre-order bonuses, but the base game is $24.99. So for them to have had that and then, you know, sold 60,000 copies in less than a week, that you could expect that breaking 100, I'd say, by the end of the month.
Oh, definitely. It's only going to go up, you would think. Yeah. A brave time to release it ahead of the showcase as well. Like, but yeah, really good to see. And you'd think 6 people, it's going to have made their money back possibly already.
Yeah. Especially at that price point, I think.
Well, and you'd think it's only on Xbox. Presumably it's on PC. It's Xbox and PC at the moment. Right. So, you know, if it does those numbers on Xbox, put it on PlayStation, and it's
Final live correction. Let me just see.
Well, I know. I think you're right because he keeps talking about Xbox numbers. That's why I questioned whether it was on PC, just because I haven't seen like Steam numbers for it.
It's definitely on PC, 100%. Oh, it was originally on Switch. It was originally a Switch release.
I remember it on Switch.
Yeah. It was. So this actually, it's had quite a long road. It's older than we think. So Hypercharge was originally released in early access back in 2017 on PC, and then the full release was then put to Switch in 2020. Xbox
so it's had
Series.
Its PC heyday.
Yes. So actually, this is them now tapping into a completely new audience for it on Xbox.
I wonder what the peak was on PC.
Oh right, yeah, it's Steam numbers.
Like, has it just resonated with this audience? You also wonder if they've had some help from Xbox.
Quite possibly.
Why would you choose Xbox? It's just fairly illogical.
Could be just because of the publishing. Maybe they felt it was really accessible for them.
To go from PC to Xbox, I guess.
Let's have a look. Quick live research. Oh, it's cross-platform as well. That's interesting.
Oh, okay.
Wow, its all-time peak was only 1,641 copies on Steam.
I mean, that's I don't think that's too bad for an indie game.
That just shows how crazy those Xbox numbers are for that to
true, yeah. Because you'd assume there are now, I don't know, you're going to have more than that playing it concurrently on Xbox, you would think.
For sure. Yeah. So there you go.
Brilliant.
Nice. Well, thank you, folks, for checking out our latest episode of System Link. We're about 2/3 of the way through now. We're going to switch out, take a brief intermission, and we'll be back with a couple of rounds of the finals just to wrap our evening up. I can't believe it's already 5-11. That's nuts. Thank you, Mike, as always, for being my ever knowledgeable and jolly co-host for our show. We've got some interesting locked-in bets and dreams for the Xbox Showcase this weekend. Plus, obviously, Summer Game Fest coming up, although Jeff has he gave himself an 8 out of 10 for his upcoming showcase and said, don't get too high. He's managing expectations.
Oh, we love that, don't we?
Love it when they do that. We're going to put together and advertise this huge show, but it's going to be average. So please look forward to that. We'll be back shortly with a couple rounds of the finals. It's a stalwart game for us, one of our most reliable shooters in our platter. So stick with us. We'll be back shortly. Thanks again, Mike, and we'll be back in a moment's time. Okay, and we are back. I'm not 100% sure if we are looking okay, although to be fair, I can see that now on stream, so hopefully that is
nice
sorted, and we are back for a couple rounds of the finals just to wrap out this evening. My connection to the lobby is taking a frighteningly long time, though, so I don't know whether this is now being...
Was that to get into the menu or to get into the multiplayer?
Just to get into the menu.
What do you... Oh, right.
So I've got the connecting screen right now.
Wasn't on quick resume, was it?
Nope, wasn't quick resumed. Interestingly, I've got a Rocket League update trying to load.
Yeah. Because we never play Rocket League. Why would that?
Yeah, exactly. Why would I need that? Which I'm pausing because the update isn't going through at all. I think there is some wonkiness going on with Xbox tonight. My stepdaughter's Xbox wasn't behaving right. This is just on a locked connecting cycle right now. Let's restart the game, I think.
Do it. I'm in the menu, so it's definitely doable.
Okay, that update's paused. Okay, reloading the game. Oh, nice. Well, thanks, Big Manny. Good to know that it still looks and sounds good, but it's actually getting into the game. That's now the major issue. Connects for a little bit, but shouldn't take this long. There we go. I'm in the lobby. We are all sorted.
Nice. So we were wanting to play this because Season 3 is coming. Well, you know, it's one of our staples, but Season 3 is soon. When is it? You told me the other day.
Yeah, just looking on the Battle Pass now, Season 2 ends in 8 days. So that would, you'd think then, you know, by end of next week, we'd be getting, or they might hold it for, they might do like a brief between seasons thing.
And they're in a bit of a tough spot, aren't they? It's not making the revenue that they need it to make. I think it's getting the numbers, but the player numbers, but
yeah, that's certainly not been an issue. We've never really struggled to find a game so far. But yeah,
I don't know how you resolve that. Oh, I mean, we talked about it. I don't know if that was on stream or not, but we talked about some licensed tie-ins. Like if this was an Epic published product, you'd have had all sorts of crazy cosmetic tie-ins that people would have paid for.
Oh, massively. So. And then, you know, trying to figure out the kind of shooters that would fit in with this slightly sort of Tron digital kind of season. You know, you can try and, you know, logically look for stuff that's going to fit with your chosen theme.
From my perspective, yeah, cool. From my perspective, I've started to... I'm not getting bored with it, but... Oh, server not responding.
Oh, really?
Have you gone in?
I'm in, yeah. Well, it's loading still for me. Monaco 2014.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get in. Oh, it says you're in a joinable game.
Can you just join on me, or should I just restart out?
I think it probably means a lobby, doesn't it?
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's inviting me to join the finals. I'm still loading at the moment. Which doesn't bode well.
No, it doesn't, does it? So I think it needs a bit of a shake-up. I think it needs more of a shake-up than it had between Season 1 and Season 2, personally. I don't know how you feel about it. I would like to...
They added some great equipment, like the gadgets I thought were really cool.
They did. I just don't think any of them disrupted the dynamics enough. Like, they weren't... You don't see many people... Not the data reshape, but the one that takes the walls out.
Oh, yeah.
Is the one that I personally see the most.
So I've managed to load in. There's actually a gap on our team as well. So oh no, it's been replaced. I don't know why that didn't work. I'll as soon as I can quit, I'll be out.
Annoying. There's no option to like attempt to rejoin.
Yeah, exactly. And when, you know, if you are worried about competition, you've got to make sure this kind of stuff is tightened up. You know, you're still showing us in my lobby. Is that correct? On your screen as
still
well?
Apparently. Yeah.
Okay.
Which again is ridiculous.
Yeah. What I might do is I might kick you and re-invite you.
Okay.
New invite sent. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, you're certainly right about the player numbers. You look on, you know, the previous screen and it showed like, you know, under a minute for every playlist, which shows that there is, you know, players there. That number has gone up for the ranked playlist, so it is actually a dynamic number. So, yeah, I actually really liked the equipment in this. I think the additions they made, there was actually more additions than I was expecting. You know, almost one per class. I think Mediums had 2. It was the map I'm not particularly a fan of. I think it fit with their chosen aesthetic, this sort of digital, glitchy hacker aesthetic, but it's the least interesting in terms of like destruction, because it is just like breaking, just chunks just disappear.
I'm not a fan of the aesthetic. Like I love the Monaco map in particular.
Yeah.
I'd like more just grounded maps rather than. I've got the same error.
Server disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Server not responding.
I'm loading Monaco again. I'm gonna quit out the game. Is it worth you trying to host and just seeing if that makes a difference?
I'm just seeing what the error code is in case.
Yeah.
Just give me an error code.
I've closed and restarted the game as well. Obviously, you need to re-invite you. Oh no, you need to re-invite me.
Working out after a restart. I'll just restart my Xbox.
Yeah.
Might as well.
I've got so many vers.
I think this because we obviously had the new mode as well, which was very cool. I just think it needs to be a bit more disruptive with what they do.
Yeah, some bolder partnerships, and I think a really sort of a very nicely contrasting theme, I think would really help that new season. They'd be the two things I'm looking for. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a little something at the Summer Game Fest, Jeff's show. Little side bet there for Summer Game Fest, because they announced the finals and shadow dropped the finals across 2 different Game Awards presentations, so there's a precedent for working with Jeffy Boy. So definitely a chance we could see that there.
It'd be cool if you could like pick up the packs of people. You know, like Battlefield has always done. You can pick up other people's kits when you kill them. That'd be kind of a nice way to give people a route to change your class mid game.
Swapped around my equipment a little bit, so I'm going to take a smoke grenade this time. Never really used it, and I want to know if we can, you know, especially when we get caught sometimes out of cover, if that can help us out a little bit. Right,
yeah, I'd really like to see... Yeah, I'm in now.
If you want to invite me, just in case it's something on my end with host.
So that's a wrong invite.
Oh, no. I'd love to. I should be in.
Yeah, I see you. What do I do? Play?
So play, quick play, and then quick cache is your correct playlist.
Yeah.
So I've got searching at the top. Did you have that before as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's gonna be could be a short-lived final segment. It's not a system link.
Yeah. Can't even go to a Rocket League.
No, I know. Got to update that. Apparently that wasn't...
Game found, connection to server.
Yep, I've got that as well. Where did your error pop up?
Like where you'd expect the load screen to be.
Okay.
Okay, I've got further. Yeah, I'm loading Las Vegas.
I'm loading Las Vegas now as well. Okay.
Okay,
so
nice.
You got a host. That's what we needed. Of both the game and system link. You got a host.
I think I'd just like to see some stuff that kind of crosses the class boundaries a bit more.
Yeah, okay.
How do you change your class now at this screen?
I think it's the contestant thing on the far left side.
I don't like that. I prefer what it...
Where you could just choose see them all, couldn't you? You can see your whole loadout.
Yeah. I'm medium, by the way, for this.
Oh, I'm sticking with my light submachine gun. I'm going for the stalwart.
I was getting a bit bored of heavy. I always regret.
You're gonna miss those barricades.
I know. On your left.
Oh, yeah. low.
Not low enough.
Behind us. One down. Oh, I've just been glitch grenaded.
There's possibly a guy
Some coming in
there.
the doors behind us.
No, there's loads of them.
Ah, BG. He's nearly dead. Nice, good finish. Oh, good revive. You got one there.
Oh, there's loads of them.
Oh, revive of the year. I'm taking fire. Ah, tried to get you out of there. Couldn't quite make it. That was a good.
Oh, you're still alive. I thought I saw you die.
Yeah, that was nuts. Your defib was fantastic. I got 2 kills.
Well, I don't know. I did it and immediately regretted it, but it worked out.
That was great. Thank you.
Got the healing phaser as well. I just forgot to use it.
Yeah, of course. Got your Beverly
Have I?
phaser.
Yeah, I have.
Beverly. God, this game is stunning. I'm playing on my monitor because I'm at the desk for the stream, and
Yeah, same.
the HDR. It's just
It definitely needs... Well, I think it got quite decent recognition, but it's just... I don't know.
yeah, it's
needs something else.
well reviewed, and yeah.
Yeah. Whoa.
He's stunned.
He's nearly down. There's another one there.
Ah, shit. Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Grenade.
Yeah. I've been stunned. Ah. Nice, good finish.
Got the healing.
Nicely done.
Where's our teammate? Always a bit insulted when our teammate leaves.
Yeah. It's a personal slight.
Absolutely.
Especially when they're shit as well. Oh, it just looks so good.
Oh my god.
The way that also I think that this is something that really differentiates the finals from Battlefield is that like there's a sort of now a smoky my face. There's a kind of smokiness to this lobby.
Yeah, it's cool.
The dust effect from the destruction just looks great. We're gonna get one run at this. I think they're up on the outside.
I hear footsteps.
Potential flank here. On the fence.
I missed him. Oh, that was terrible. He did quite well there.
Nice. Oh, I'm down. Third guy got me.
I'll try and cover you for the defib. He's knee down.
Yeah. Nice.
His mate got away though.
Heading over the wall.
Getting cover.
Oh, no.
Got a teammate now at least.
There's one more purple in there. I took out one of them. I think he might be on my 6.
2 points.
Yeah, get the healing. I owe you a chair. I missed. Heavy.
Sorry, kill. Sorry.
Worth it. Thank you, Beverly, because I was about to burn myself into oblivion. Fantastic. Oh, I got the points.
Oh shit.
Oh, I'm gonna go down. There's 2 guys down here. Oh, I got reload,
Invincible.
reload. That's an incredible healing phaser.
Yeah, it cost my life, but
Trying to get out of there.
once you're doing it, you feel like you can't stop because you're like, I was keeping you alive. I didn't want to turn off the life support machine.
Oh, there's a guy right behind me. I think I managed to go up 1 floor, so there's a good chance he's gonna find me.
I love.
Oh
them.
no!
Ah, fuck.
That was hilarious.
Hey,
That's great. Farming those support points. Thank
I
you
hear
very
more
much.
footsteps. That might be our guy. Oh, teammates left again. Oh no, it's someone else.
Oh, cheers, Big Manny. Thanks again, as always, for tuning in. Always appreciate you checking it out. Have a good rest of your night.
Have a good one.
There's a guy through this door up here. All those cats who dropped a clanger. Stinky bullies.
They heard Big Manny was so they knew it was time to not to drop it.
Yeah. Guys outside here, I think. Oh, I need to get... It's actually upper floor, isn't it?
Oh yeah, they're coming in. I'm not going down there. Please ignore that.
Heading up the stairs. Oh, 2 guys here. One on the stairs. He's low.
I'm dead.
Okay. Been revived a bit.
Oh yeah. I've got a medium move. This looks less safe than where I was before.
Oh god, yeah, you're right. Spot on, baby. Please take it, please take it.
Oh, I didn't realise he was there.
Purples are going to get that.
Go on, mate. He's dashy.
Yeah. Ah, it's half health. Good finish. God, maximising your revive points there. Oh, he nicked it.
Yeah, he owed me one there.
Cheeky chapping. Bolt's just down.
Because I went round the corner and I couldn't see he was reviving you, so I defibed you.
Oh, I see.
I stole it, so I can't have any complaints.
Nice.
I'm enjoying playing as medium. OP.
Yeah.
Go up on top.
I see him. Another one on top. There's at least one more up there.
Oh, fucking hell.
Ah. Don't know if I'm being pursued. Yeah. Got me in the corner.
The mighty swooped up a cash box.
Getting some kills, aren't we? But I don't feel like we're doing any objective stuff.
Well, the only team without any money in the cash out. Should be that's a respawn camera. I always respect you doing that when you know I'm looking in that direction as well. Not 100% confident which box they're going to.
It's so much fun just to be in the game world. It's always a good sign.
Yeah, and I love this casino aesthetic. Is looks so good, especially in the engine. Cash out's above. I'm going to try and blow it through the floor if I can.
Oh shit! Covering.
You won't want to miss a second.
Impressive steal by the ultra rares.
That's how you do it.
Shut the door on his problems. Oh, I got grenaded.
You're not the only one.
Oh, that's the structure of the car park. I think is coming down a little bit there because one of the major pillars got taken out.
Suing.
Much. Let's head back up one.
Yeah, on me.
Yep. Nice.
Thank you. Oh. I didn't even realise that was a lift.
Yeah.
On me.
Oh shit.
It's half health on my corpse.
Got him. Fortunately, he's got
Another
a friend.
one.
Impressive steal by the overdogs.
I got stuck in a doorway. Oh,
I wonder what your tactic was. I thought you were going to shut the door. There weren't any doors on the other side, were there?
Not that I thought, and then I think I ended up shutting one on myself. Not my finest hour. Oh, you got revive. Nice. We're going to need to intercept
Let's do that off him again. He doesn't want me to. Oh, you're going to get killed, mate. Should have just let me revive you, shouldn't you? There's a guy nearby.
Got to get up there. We're going
we're
to
lose.
the pilot.
Too late, Luke.
Not on my watch.
Oh, what's this ladder so...
Oh, it's 800 mines on the box and I just detonated.
Grenading!
Yeah. That's great. That's fantastic. Well, that will about do it for tonight's stream. Just a single quick round of the finals. We're now at 11:30, so I've got to sign off. Mike, thank you again for jumping on tonight. This has been great fun.
Oh, great one. I would have thought it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be back next Wednesday after the Xbox Showcase and Summer Game Fest, doing a quick sort of unpack of our bets and dreams and a reaction to it. And then, we'll be also hopefully on the Monday before that, Burly Bird Live. We'll have that going on. So that is over here on twitch.tv/burlybirdmedia. I'll be here streaming something. Not quite sure yet what my plan is.
Whatever gets shadow dropped.
Yeah, whatever's shadow dropping. That Banjo remake. That's what I'll be playing for sure. So yeah, consider checking that out, please, on Monday. And we also have a brand new episode of Tag and Bag, my podcast with Jeff Steitzer, the voice of the Halo multiplayer announcer, talking about work-life balance this week. Very personal, quite emotional in some parts. So yeah, really diverse set of conversations we're having with him there. It was really good fun. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. And thank you, Mike, once again, for joining us. It's been an absolute treat, as always.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Nice one. Take care, folks. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Bye.